Hi and welcome to this new Smode tutorial, and today we will review how to create beauty previsualization of a stage project. So this will concern only the station version of Smode, which is paying one. So let's create a new project, file a new project, and let's create a minimal project. Okay, and let's call that Smode Beauty. Okay. So this tutorial is made from this technique has two main reasons, two main goals. It's one to create beautiful demonstrations for client purposes, but also to work before the stage is actually created in real life, to work before. So let's rename the content map LED screen. Okay, and now let's go into the stage element and create two screens. So element, right click, element, planar LED screen, and link that to LED screen content map. So now let's rotate the LED screen by 90 degrees. Okay, so now I want to have two screens, and I want the two screens to share the same content map. So what I'm going to do is by keeping into the pipeline mode into the content map, right click on the content map, split horizontally into two different content area. And so now I have my left content area for the left screen and my right content area for the right screen. So of course you can give color labels to your different map. So for instance, here I give a red label to the LED screen content map. But I can do that also for content areas. So let's call this, let's put a color label for these two content area. One in, let's say, orange, and one in less orange. And then let's go back into the stage. And now I have my planar LED screen that is linked to the full content map. And if you see into the parameters of the LED screen, you see that you have a pitch value here of 10 millimeters. And by default, Smode will take the resolution of the content map on which the screen is linked to and adapt its size regarding the resolution and the pitch of the screen. So if I change the assignment of my LED screen from LED screen full content map to the left content area, then you see that the size of my screen changed. So let's recall that left and duplicate the screen and call the new one right. Okay, so now let's put them a little bit apart, one to the other from another. Okay, and let's relink this screen to the right content area. Alright, now my screen has a size of 9.6 meters, so let's change its pivot point for 9.6 divided by 2. Okay, so now I have my pivot point here in the center. And let's do the same for the other one. So put its position back to 0 and minus 9.6 divided by 2. Alright, and let's switch them a little bit apart. Okay, and let's give that an angle of, let's say, minus 20. And let's do the same for the other. Okay, just to have something like that. And now you see here it's my floor level, my 0 axis. So let's go into orthographic mode to set up the stage. So double click into the view and double click here to go into the front view mode. And each one of my screen is 10.8 meters. So let's switch that from 10.8 divided by 2. Okay. Okay, so now my screen are in the good position. So let's double click and re-double click again. Okay, now I have my stage created. And now if I put any kind of content inside of this LED screen, it will stretch to my content map. So let's put that into placement full. And what I can do in this situation also, and let's add another image. Okay, image HD. Oh, maybe I have a video would be better. Okay, let's put a video. Okay. Okay, now I have my video playing. And what is useful with this content area also, let's go back into stage previsualization, is that I can also send content either on the left part of the screen or on the right part of the screen. So you can choose then where you will send your content. Then let's start to create the previsualization process. And to do that, we are going to do that into the pipeline editor by right-clicking, create processor. And let's call that beauty previz. It's already labeled like this because that's my preset into Smode. I like to call things beauty. And then now I am into a processor, and the processor is more or less like a composition. So you have the access to the same tool as in any composition, 2D layer, 3D layers, and everything. The only thing that you have more in the beauty previz than in the other element will be the pipeline layers that allow you to get back like the stage preview, for instance, which is the element you currently have into your stage. So here I created a camera because I'm working in 3D space, so it's always better to create a camera when working into 3D space. And then you have access to all different kind of pipeline layers, like different LED screen, so just the content map if you want to import them and to do some pixel mapping. But for now, let's keep with the 3D element of stage preview, and let's import 3D light, stage light. And instead of stage preview, I'm going to use something that looks the same, which is stage simulation. It's just a little bit heavier for Smode to calculate, but it allows to use the light of the LED screen to relight our future environment. So let's start to create our environment by going into 3D mode. And let's start by creating a floor. So 3D layer, let's create a plane. Okay. And let's add a renderer, a surface renderer, because I already have some preset here. So let's take like floor 2. I don't remember how it looked like. And let's create a small light to see what's happening. So let's create a point light here and augment a little bit its radius. Okay, so that's my floor. Let's add, and let's relabel things so that we keep track. And let's add a little modifier over the floor, which will be an attribute modifier, UV transform, that allow to stretch every different texture inside my my model. So now let's get rid of this grid, the 3D grid of the floor here. All right. And now if you see, there's a little thing happening here. I can see that my floor is more or less related. But to be sure that my screen are going to give illumination to my elements, what I need to do is go back into stage, and on my right and left screen augment a little bit the fall off of my screen. So let's put that like this, for instance. Okay, let's put that in 100 meters. Okay, hardcore values. And then let's copy this interval. Copy meter interval and the exponent, copy positive floating point number, and paste this value to the new screen. So pass positive floating point and pass interval meters. So as you see into the, I don't know how it's called in English, but if you copy different value, Smode will copy the different value into the paper clip, maybe that's called, I don't know. And each time you have a different value, you can copy it and pass it onto another element. So that's quite useful. Then let's go back into processor, and you see now that something changed on the way my scene is related. So let's log this screen. and go back into my content and change a little bit the position of the mountain. And so you see that the lighting of my LED screen is currently doing some changes over my plane. Okay, so let's add some element into the previsualization to make it even more beautiful. And let's start by adding some stage environment. Well, here it's some buildings that we photograph from Cinecittà, some old photogrammetry stuff. So import as reference, and where is my building? Okay, let's add a renderer, a surface renderer, and put that. Okay, let's turn on the stage light. Okay, it's here, but it's so small that you barely see it. Okay, no, right. So let's scale it by 1000 beam. Okay, and let's turn on the auto illumination. So let's place my building around my stage like that. Will be alright. And let's add some textures to it. So I have a diffuse, and let's turn on the specular and add a right click component normal bump. Okay, and now let's mirror this geometry to put that on the other side of the stage element. So right click, operator mirror, and okay, that's on the other side. So let's do a little rotation here. Okay, let's put that here. Okay, let's say it's alright. Okay, let's say it's alright. So the only little matter I have here is that probably my setup will happen during nighttime. So let's put back the stage light, and let's put a little Smode light also to illuminate a little bit more the building on the background. Okay, let's put some kind of blue light. Okay, let's keep it white, that's right. And now, as I have access to every kind of different component into the Smode processors, let's... Okay. So go back in 3D. Right, and now what I will do is go into the surface of my the texture of my mesh and add. Let's go back into the processor. Thank you. The surface of my mesh, and let's add a little color modifier into the lookup table. I have day to night 2, and alright, now it's set to night mode. And here my point light. There's a little bit too much effect on the floor, so let's tear that down, and let's just add a little bit of auto illumination to my building, and that will be fine enough. Okay, now let's add what we can do, like a little stars on the background. So let's add a geosphere and put a big value to the sphere. Let's create a renderer sprite points over the sphere, and let's call that stars. Okay, let's add the size, a little bit of size onto the points. Yeah, that's not so starry. Okay, and let's select a different point. So if I click on an image, here I have tabs, the file tabs that allow to see every image that are in the same directory. And as you see, there are some nice new icons, and that's for the new Smode version. So, alright, now let's add a little right-click operator random point, so to scatter points randomly into the sky. Okay, and let's lock the camera, so I'm sure I will not do shit afterwards. And let's add a ton of stars. And now let's add some kind of like glittering effect on the stars, maybe. So let's replace the star number 2 by this one. Okay. And to add some glittery effect, I will add on my geosphere a utility attribute modifier, a point scale, that I will put into 0. So that will result in each point of my sphere on which I'm creating the spite points will be scaled down to a scale of 0. And then over this point scale, I will create a mask, noise mask. And then now my stars are scaled up and down depending on this 3D noise mask. So let's play the 3D noise. And now it creates some little sparkling effect. And now let's create a moon, because I have no explanation why, but that's it. Okay. So if you have trouble selecting 3D element from the 2D viewport, be sure that you are in 3D selection mode here and not in 2D selection mode, so that's maybe why you have trouble selecting your stuff. And then let's add into this geosphere another surface renderer, and let's put, I hope I have moon of map. Yes, I have here. Okay. And let's put the auto illumination to 100%. And now, as I have my moon here, what I can do on my little setup is adding a lot of different 2D elements and 2D modifiers. Like for instance, let's add a lens flare, and let's add dirt flare, horizontal blue, for instance. All right. And now, if you go in edit mode here, edit mode, then you can select the point of your lens flare. But here I want my lens flare to be always depending on the position of the moon. So what I'm going to do is here into the lens flare parameters, link it to the I did not rename my moon, so this will be clear. So let's relink that to the moon. And now what will result in this is if I change the position of my moon, the lens flare will follow. And also, of course, if I change the position of my camera, the lens flare will automatically adapt to the moon. So let's change a little bit the anchor point of the moon. So the lens flare will be on the side of the moon, maybe. No, does not seem to work. Well, anyway, a lens flare on the moon is not maybe something that you will see a lot, but that's the Smode touch. And then let's add like an exposure, for instance. Okay, let's. Okay, and so that's how you create how you can create some 3D stage previsualization. So that can be found either for client purposes. To display some element to the client in a stage context, but also to work it has a purpose, because for instance, if you want to create some content before going on stage, let's reduce a little bit the size of the lens flare. For instance, in this case, with my 2 buildings. Okay, let's put that a little bit closer. If I want to create content in advance, so let's log this view, for instance, and let's take an image, this one. Okay, and into my stage simulation, what I can do also, if I want to work, is add the LED screen content map pipeline, and this will allow me to see as an overlay what is currently the pipeline, what is the content map I'm working on. So you can do a lot of stuff like that. And so let's change this little layer, and so this will can be useful to create directly some some content that will adapt to your stage. So maybe that's not and my mood is stuck to the my mood is stuck to my building 3D mode. Okay, let's put that a little bit further, and let's reduce a little bit the size of my building. Okay, change the position of the mirror. Okay, and now color lookup table. Up. Up. And now let's visualize this layer and put a little mask. So one of the novelty of the new Smode is this, at least this new bezier mask. Yeah. All right, and let's put a little feather. Okay, in invert mode. And no magic. It seems like the mountain is lightened by the moon. Yeah, it's quite awful, I know. But that's life. So, well, that's a little bit of a demonstration of how you can do 3D previsualization. So that's everything goes from the processor. And then you can just create your stage and then log this view, for instance, send this view to the output screen, and then you can work before going currently on stage. And one, as I'm on it, one last purposes of the processor is to do a remap. So let's call that mapping. Okay. And inside this mapping processor, let's call the LED screen layers. And what you can do here is change the size of your content map to fit it to any pixel map that you will in which you will output your content. And also inside the pipeline layer, you have access to this mapper thing. And what the mapper do, actually, it's a quite powerful tool. So let's create a new item which will be the full content map. And now you see that in the parameters of the mapper item, you have access to these different grid mode. So let's edit the source here. And now I can create some point wherever I want on my map. Okay, like that, for instance. And now let's go to edit target, and I can then distort my content whatever in any direction I want. And this can be quite useful to do simple mapping on object. And also the main purpose of this mapper item is that it consumes very few resources. So you can add a lot of points, and Smode will calculate once the deformations that you want to do, and then it will just display the content. So well, that's all for now, and I hope this had been useful. See you later.